Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1948, Part 34. 21A Myrtle Avenue, St. Augustine, Florida, May 7th, 1948. My dearest mother, I was so glad to get your card this morning and hear that everything was all right on the trip. And I'll be looking for word as to how the rest of the trip was, too. Wade says that he doesn't think this will surprise you, but yesterday he told me he had a surprise for me. And last night he gave me a diamond. Believe me, Mother, it was the last thing I expected. I guess that sounds funny, but it hadn't occurred to me. It isn't to be mine, it's his mother's, and she asked him if he'd like to give it to me until he can afford one that he likes. He says there aren't any under $600 that he likes. It is beautiful, quite large, and a perfect stone, Tiffany setting. I just felt it wasn't right to have his mother's, though, and because I wasn't sure, he took it back. By midnight, we decided it would be better to break up completely. It was really a grim night, and I was wishing so much you were here. I felt so sick by morning that I couldn't go to school. I phoned Wade, and he came in on his way to work, and I guess 8 o'clock in the morning is a funny time to become engaged, but we did. Oh, Mother, I wish you were here. Wade says he realizes he should have given it to me then, but it just didn't seem right to have his mother's. Please, Mother, tell me, does it? I talked to her, and she says she's happy for me to have it. I wish you'd talk to me more when you were here. Now I don't know what to do about school or anything. I began this letter Friday. Saturday I went shopping with Wade's sister to get him a new short and pants, getting me started right. It was Fuzz's birthday, so we went dancing at the beach hotel with everyone congratulating us. Wade says I can't back out now. Johnny congratulated Wade too, but I didn't see him. His mother asked me to church Sunday and over for Sunday dinner, and after we went to the movies with Charlene. I hadn't known before, but she was only 3 months expecting when Russell was killed in the war. It must have been terrible for her. Sunday afternoon, Chuck and Teed drove Jeanette and I out to the beach because Wade had to work. At school this morning, they have been teasing me unmercifully. Dale says she isn't going to work any more this year. Everyone has been so nice. What do you think, Mother? I've been terribly mixed up. Wade wants to have the ring cut to be made smaller on Friday. Would that be wrong? Please tell me. I can't imagine you giving Bud yours. Would it be better to wait until he can get one he likes? I've been wondering what happened after the accident with the plane. Hope you got along okay. Wade says I'm supposed to quit worrying about things. Write to me. Love, Ruth. 21A Myrtle Avenue, St. Augustine, Florida, May 22nd, 1948. My dearest Mother, I'm so sorry I haven't written, but this last week of school has really kept me busy. I've worked every afternoon and finally finished up my kiddies' yearbooks and handwork books yesterday. Today I have a full program to do my reports, grade books, and check my course of study. It hardly seems possible that the whole school year is just about over. Tuesday night is our commencement, and most of the kiddies will go then, but school is officially over Thursday at 12 noon. It's been a nice year, and I've had a lovely little class. Thanks so much, honey, for your letters and opinions. I really appreciate them. I guess you could tell how mixed up I've been about the ring. I made up my mind to give it to Wade, but he says if I do, he will go and buy one. It isn't that he can't afford one, but was planning to use his money to go into business again when he sees a good opportunity. I've been trying to talk him into going to college, but think I'd better leave it up to him. I have a contract from Indianapolis and have written to have my credits transferred. However, I haven't resigned nor signed the contract, but next week is the deadline. I'm not so worried as I was and will just let things develop as they may. I still do want to get my degree, though. Saturday afternoon I decided to stay at school straight through, as I'd done a couple of other afternoons. Wade gets so cross when I miss lunch, so at 1 o'clock I heard a honk, and Wade and Chuck were going to take me home. Chuck bought a car. Wish he had while you were here. I said I was staying, but in half an hour Wade was back with sandwich, milk, carrots, and cake that his mother had fixed for me. I worked till 6 o'clock, and then he brought my books home, and Wade helped me sort some. Ellen had an acute appendicitis operation Thursday afternoon, and Mrs. Palms went to Jacksonville to look after the baby. Poor Ellen. Last night was Mary's prom, so we went over to see her off. And as Wade said, ask the boy for his papers to prove he has blue blood. He was a nice boy, and she looked very nice. A plaid top and black skirt. Really cute. Last Friday, Georgia asked us over for a game of poker. Wade and I went, but Marion wouldn't. I'd had a touch of flu, so we left early. Georgia says she likes Mrs. Palms so much, but of course Dorothy Jean told her mother she was positive Wade must be awfully young for me. I told Wade what Daddy said about me not making a good poor man's wife, and he said, well, let's wait and see if I'll always be poor. He has ambition, but this is a pretty tough old world to crack. Marion has had an offer from a school about 23 miles from New York, which has always been her ambition, to go to New York. Fuzz has been pretty hateful lately, and Wade gave her some advice to quit while the quitting was good. I guess she didn't like it too well. Poor kid. She's in pretty deep. Remember I said someday I'd know whether I'd regret or be glad I didn't go to Saskatoon before coming down here the first time? I'm glad I didn't. Thanks, honey. I really do think older people see things more clearly, but you have to make mistakes yourself before you realize some things. Mrs. Palm's address is 20 John Street. I don't know about a summer course. It hurts to see all my savings of a year vanish in a summer. Would it be too late to get a job in Regina marking papers? Or can Daddy think of a job I could get? We'll see you. Love, Ruthie. 21A Myrtle Avenue, St. Augustine, Florida, May 31st, 1948. Dearest Mother, you didn't write. June 1st, 1948. Honestly, was I ever glad to get your letter this morning, even though you didn't say very much of what I wanted you to. I think Wade gets almost as anxious as I do to hear from you, and was quite worried yesterday, when I still hadn't heard from you for 2 weeks, except for the list from the university. Thanks, I got the idea. I honestly feel so stupid now when anyone asks me what I'm going to do because I just don't know. And so many ask. Even the grocer asks, well, are you married yet? No? When? Even people I've never even heard of ask. It's terrible to say I don't know, but I just don't. Wade wants to get married. You want me to get my degree. And I'd like to go out into the ocean. Period. We finally wound up school. Wade went with me to our commencement, and quite a few of the big boys wanted to meet him afterwards. It was a nice commencement, but the southern speakers never seemed to inspire like northern ones. One of my little girls, Teresa, was on the other side of the auditorium, and when we went in, she almost had a fit and called and waved to me. Wade got a kick out of it, and so did a lot of people, when in the intermission she ran all the way around the back of the auditorium to come to kiss me goodbye. It made me feel good, but I realized she was excited and showing off. The last day, Freddie and Joyce were the only two left, and so I took them to see Wade and Joyce. Joyce almost wore him out. Her mother sent me a box of chocolates, and Wade said it was worth 1,000,000 boxes to teach her this year. Tommy's mother and dad also gave me a box of Whitman's chocolates, and Joy's mother gave me some pretty notepaper, and Wayne's mother gave me some hankies. I bought them all ice cream cones one day, and Joy dropped hers. Typical. Ellen is okay now, but I guess it was very serious. When the doctor opened her up for the appendix, he found something on her intestines and was afraid of cancer. It wasn't. She started to cry. Spinal, so he gave her ether, and later she had glucose going in her veins, food through her nose and out through a tube. She is thinner than I now, so I guess it was quite tough. She's having a complete x-ray Thursday. I went over Saturday morning and helped Mrs. Palms with the baby, and Wade came over Saturday night, and we stayed there, and Ellen came home from the hospital Sunday morning. The baby is a darling, and they have a cute little house on the base. Mrs. Audrey Oliveras, 122B Hancock Street, Naval Air Station, Jacksonville, Florida, if you want to write a note to her. She uses the little plate. Aubrey told the chief Ellen was expecting it again so they could get a house with 3 bedrooms. Imagine. I don't think Ellen knows. Anyway, it was nice there, but gee, it takes a lot to run a house and just look after one baby, going night and day. Wade says it's supposed to be worth it. Marion has been packing for a month and leaves tonight. Fuzz started his leave last Thursday and will be going in a couple of days. They've been getting along fine, and I think she's planning on coming back in September. She hasn't heard from New York, she says, so she's stored her trunk at school and plans to be back, I think, but is going home for a while now. Now I've no toaster, iron, coffee percolator, and I'll have to pay rent, light, water, and phone on my own. Seems funny. The cleaning before I leave worries me too. Guess I should have been ready to go. Dale came by this morning and wants me to go to the beach tomorrow with her. Hope it doesn't rain. Sunday night, Wade and I went to the movie in Jacksonville. And before we got there, it began to rain, and honestly, the street was like a river in 5 minutes. A week ago Saturday, we went to Zanzi's and met Chuck and teed with Glenn and Dot, and later went out to the beach hotel dancing. Dot was the girl Johnny started going out with after me. Later in the evening, Johnny came in and to our table and said both Wade and I were good people. Then he knelt down beside me and told me about some fellow he'd met from Moose Jaw, and he told him about me. He'd been drinking. Wade didn't like it too well. Marion saw Johnny out on this street one night, and he asked if she knew when we were getting married, and if it were a nice ring. May have been her story. A lady phoned yesterday and asked if I'd like a ride to Indianapolis yesterday with her son. Said she'd heard I was going to Butler University. This town, how anybody knows that. Wade didn't have supper yesterday and came over. I didn't find out for about an hour, and I suddenly thought it was funny him coming at 6:30, so I started to make him some hamburgers. Fuzz started showing me how to smoke a cigarette. There is an ashtray I'd like to preserve. 11 cigarettes with about 2 puffs out of each. Wade was so cross he hardly ate anything. I told his mother how I felt about the ring, and she says it's up to me, but she's glad to have me wear it. Wade says it's up to me now too, but it's so hard to give it back. Oh, I'm so mixed up. I got a new mauve dress, first dress I've ever bought in St. Augustine, $12.95. I like it. I've written to have my credits transferred to Butler University and asked Mr. Rainey to hold the job until I know. I feel like coming home, but maybe I should take a summer course. Life. Love and thanks for listening, Ruthie. 21A Myrtle Avenue, St. Augustine, Florida, June 4th, 1948. Dearest Mother, Hi. Now that school is out, I look for a letter every day from you, dear. I wish so much that your visit was now so that I could have a chance to spend more time with you. It's really swell to have school over with, except that I do miss the walk to school in the early morning sun. Wade phones me at 9:30 to be sure I wake up anyway. I'm usually awake, though. Dale came over the other morning and took me out to the beach. It was so lovely. The waves were huge and my hair needed washing anyway, so I just let the waves wash over me. It was so exciting. I've been doing more cooking since school was out. Wade's trying to make me be domestic. He got me to get a chicken, another one, yesterday, and last night he rolled pieces of it in salt, pepper, and flour and fried it. It was good, but not like his mother's. I feel terrible about leaving, yet I guess it's better. I told Mrs. Zuikan yesterday that I'd better give her notice, and she was very nice about it, and said a few days one way or another wouldn't make any difference. Marion left Wednesday. I don't know if I told you about it, but a week ago Sunday, Wade, Teed, Chuck, and I went out to the races at the beach. The day before, Wade said a fellow had asked him to drive a car in the race. Saturday night I got Chuck and Teed to promise they wouldn't let him drive. He could get killed. Well, the car he could have driven won, and no accident at all. Of course, he wished he'd have driven it, and it made me feel like I'd kept him from doing what he wanted to. We all got burned a bit. Yesterday, he brought me the cutest traveling iron, a General Electric, and I'm just so thrilled over it. With Marion gone, I had no toaster, iron, coffee percolator, or small plates or pot holders. I must go out and try to get some of this packing done. I'm dreading cleaning up the place, too. Right. Love, Ruth. P.S. Dr. Settles phoned to ask if he should hold a place open for me. Mr. Rainey in Indianapolis said he would hold the job until I knew about my credits. So far, Butler University haven't got my credits. I feel very terrible about this letter, but I just found it again, meant to post it but couldn't find it. I'm so sorry, Mother, honestly. Love, Ruth. P.S. Hi. I'm so thrilled that I got the chest for your silver, but don't know whether to pack it and send it or bring it. I also got the 1251 and will send it when I get a chance. Time sure flies. I gave Marion $5 for her share of the radio, so guess I'll take it too. I have enough stuff for 40 trunks, so must get busy and eliminate a lot of it. You'd have gotten a kick out of them at school. Today they've been asking me for a month when, what, and where I'm doing or going. Finally, the second to last day, Mrs. Park and Mrs. King tried to talk me into buying a mop and broom from the blind department, telling me that it'll be the first thing I need to start chasing dirt. Then Georgia and DJ came in and she wanted to know my plans. Mrs. Park asked her if she got any more satisfaction out of me than they had. Then Mr. Park came and Mrs. Park wanted him to see my ring. He said not to tell them anything, that they were just nosy. Then they got Mrs. Vinning to tell me a story about birth control. Boy, I just about had enough. How I ever got into this is all beyond me. I even roasted a chicken last week. Wade and I ate it all in 2 meals. It was good. I even made stuffing, but it wasn't as good as yours. I made a peach pudding, too. I feel like about 3 people all disagreeing. Sorry about Mrs. Perry. She was a dear. So sweet to the little boys, spending her own money on them, too, but quite old. Right a couple of times. 16 exclamation marks. Love, Ruth. 21A Myrtle Avenue, St. Augustine, Florida, June 17th, 1948. Dearest Mother, I'm sorry I've neglected writing, but expected to have left before this and seen you as soon as a letter would have reached you. I've been busy, though, with the packing and also enjoying the beach a bit before I leave the ocean. I've been burned twice and peeling, but it looks a little more colored. I was so glad to get your letters, dear, and had a swell one from Bud. Sorry he didn't need the shirt, but I rather liked it and thought he could always use another. I went to Jacksonville and got my visa straightened up, so things ought to go okay this time. I think I'll go over in Indianapolis and see what they're going to allow me for my credits. I've also had them sent to Saskatoon, and they'll allow me approximately 2 years on a 4-year Bachelor of Education degree, except that I can only finance about 1 year and wanted to finish it all at once. So I'll see what Butler will do. Wade has had a couple of days off, and we've had a lovely time at the beach. It's hard to leave, and yet I'm anxious to come home to see you. I still haven't decided about the ring. I hate to keep it if I don't plan on coming back. Life. We've seen some good movies. Duel in the Sun, too. Zoe just called and wants me to go to the beach, so I think I will for just a while. She's coming out for me in 10 minutes, so that's the rush. Will write or be seeing you. Love, Ruth. P.S. Got the letter from you and Bud as I was going out. So glad Bud likes the shirt and know how he felt about leaving Saskatoon. Zoe and I had about an hour and a half at the beach. Such a beautiful day. I've just closed my bank account and getting trunk straps and back to Zoe's for some water. See you. Love, Ruthie. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Good luck to you with your efforts in family history if this interests you. Finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, and photographs, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.